Pali told me he'd never seen the wind so fierce in Reykjavík as it was November the 2nd. The Icelandic Meteorological Office reported wind in the capital area sustained out of the north-northwest at 38 meters per second, 136 kilometers per hour, 85 miles per hour, with gusts up to 52 meters per second, 187 kilometers an hour, or 116 miles per hour. With such a remarkable weather day, it had followed that an incredible night of music would bless Iðnó through the label and family known as Bedroom Community. Earlier today, I watched an aluminum sheet peel from its Reykjavík roof, chunks of black pad and plywood flying through the storm sky as hurtling ravens. Daníel Bjarnason's opener for this night at Iðnó, red-handed, enacted this disjunctive danger through a rush and tumble of instrumentation tormented by a metronomic woodblock and piano as icicle shattering in reverse. Then sleep variations by the deeply brilliant Nadia Sirota from her future album slid ears into unanticipated pitches. As though visions had been drowned in the raven's feathers, the viola of sleep variations thrust us into deep slumber, only to lope through the sleep stages of restoration and sleep spindles to the precipice of REM, and then, via crushing piano, we sunk into night terror. The raven wings, tormented by storm gale. And then, at end, a return to deep slumber to continue the cycle. Next, Corley shared work from his new album just released by Bedroom Community, called Disquiet. Lush detail and prepared piano loop and voice Two came on stage to join Paul and work inside the piano while he played the keys. Paul's compositions really demonstrate a play with electric delicacy and extreme. Just as audience ears are poised to catch the outreach of Paul's treble detail, we're suddenly plunged into the abyss of hearable bass that skids into a hardening breath. And the breath at end such demanded, rewarding listen. Valgeir Sigurðsson's set opened with heartbeat bass and then launched into string. Ambient, static electricity of storm, surf surge over cybrate, then to bass overload, and then relief insistent piano noting passage of time. In Valgeir's music, I indulge any misfortune fantasy I can muster. The black padding, the wood, and the aluminum roof flying straight into the window I stare out of. The impact knocking out my vision, but leaving the scrape-tear soundscape of rubber, glass, shards. Or walking to Faxafloy Bay with the gusts up to 52 meters per second pushing me still, holding me, then throwing me backwards into traffic in that visionless soundscape. Or the waves at Dyrhólaey choosing their next victim. Or capsizing beside Reynisdrangar. Or the dance. Or the drowning. Or the death. The corporeal decibel rust, risk, reflex. We surrender all emotion clutched so hard to our breasts. Puzzle Muteson offered a gentle respite for the ears through gravitas and hope, grounding the audience in folk and earnest reality. This provided an intermediary counterpoint to the hallucinatory reveries induced by Daníel, Paul, and Valgeir's sets. And we caught the first glimpse of the label's burgeoning diversity of styles. Puzzle played several songs from his Bedroom Community album On Guard, and his water-soaked lyrics stood stark in the day's remembering. Space for really personal audience moments here, a man visibly moved into shaking, head-clenching catharsis, and a woman hunched, shuddering, internalizing the poetry of Puzzle's lyrics. Near the end of his set, Puzzle lent his fragile, soulful voice to a cover of True Faith by New Order. Nico Muhly's set started with Skip Town, a song of complicated joy as a jumble of keys. I swear Nico invented piano keys just to play during this song. He then played music from a new album to be released next week, called Drones, which featured largely piano and viola duets, where each takes a turn at playing a drone while the other offers counterpoint. Drones offered distributive attention after Puzzle's palette cleanser, obliterating memory of the day. As if, for the first time in the evening, I heard both viola and piano clearly, naked. Where Nico's second song emphasized drones and viola, his third shifted to drones and piano. The composition had a conversational cadence to it. At first, the confident speaker, but then hesitant, and then very certain and convinced of her point, and then ecstatic. The chatter spilling in from Iðnó's foyer offered fantastic counterpoint drone to the viola. Do you know that moment when your mind wanders and you've no memory to where? So you coax yourself into present moment awareness, and in that moment of coaxing, your mental power is very much the and in drones and piano. And then you hold onto that present with ferocity, and the piano burns a path, a wind-hot path, through whatever is now, and you fill with the tension of now, and it is terrifying as it hurtles towards the window. The evening's highlight came with The Only Tune, a reconstructed folk song arranged as a triptych, and this night performed by almost every bedroom community member with Sam Amidon at the vocal helm. Here we return to the day's wild weather. Oh, the wind and the... as Sam stood in testament with arms slack. As The Only Tune shifted into its sweet resolution, Grapevine editor-in-chief Valgeir Bjarnason leaned over to me and said, "I do hope it sounds like this when I die." When listening to Sam Amidon during his set this night, I thought about how the word love implies so many nuanced definitions. It's wild to make one word do so much work, and abstract work no less. The audience was treated to a number of songs from Sam's album All Is Well. The second was a country stomp and shriek number where he was joined on stage by percussionist Shahzad Ismaili. He sang us 2 songs about Jesus and others about pained love. Sam's rendition of Pretty Fair Damsel oscillated through different speeds until the bridge, where Sam sprinted into a falsetto scat. Audience sang along on Wago Lily and Sam's cover of R. Kelly's Relief. And during Wedding Dress, Iðnó broke into a proper sveitaball. To close, Sam played a lullaby for Ben Frost before Ben sat. My dosimeter reported sound pressure in Iðnó sustained at 95 decibels, with gusts up to 98 decibels during Ben Frost's impressive finale. The constancy of sonic input and wide frequency spectrum created a soundscape in which it was physiologically challenging to remain. Even with earplugs firmly inserted, I felt irrational terror well inside me through the nauseating, panic-inducing bass vibration that ebbed and flowed like a rabid ocean. My vision blurred from the felt force of lower frequency, and I braced myself to embrace the bodily endurance test offered by Ben's set. For a while, amidst percussive complexity shared between Shahzad Ismaili and virtuoso Greg Fox, I thought of the abiotic risk to human existence so present within Icelandic landscape. And then I reflected on Nico's introduction of Ben, referring to him as friend and teacher. And in that moment, I felt as though Ben Frost was teaching me too. Greg and Shahzad continued their deft, shifting percussive patterns, some built in side 4/4, later in 7/4, as the sound demonstrated less will to build than to promote sustainability. Greg kicked a hole straight through the skin of his bass drum, such was the intensity and constancy of his contribution. A swollen alarm remained as the replacement drum was set up. And then I became curious about how my body was played in this composition, how as a vessel it vibrated with the sound in and through it. And then I was running north down to Faxafloy Bay, pushing head first into the wind, desperate to see the ocean's turbulent nature in this weather. But once there, I never want to leave, and I'm okay with the risk. I'm ready to die. I can never miss a bedroom community show because the live performance lifts into relief the contrast and detail inherent in the label's compositions. When Ben Frost first introduced the evening, he referred to bedroom community as a family, and it's through my own bodily immersion, not possible using solely headphones or a personal sound system, that I inhabit the full realization of bedroom community's open-armed and open-hearted womb.